Today's the day. We have a winner. All right, everybody. Well, today we've got back Dan Reecer from Karura and Acala, whose team just won the very first Parachain slot auction. Welcome back, Dan. Why don't you tell us how the team's feeling? I heard you had a real long night last night, so fill us in.
Yeah,
How is everything going?
good. Thanks for having me back. Yeah, it's a super exciting day that we've been working towards. The team, the core team, for years, and then me personally for probably about 10 or 12 months. So yeah, so what happened was this Parachain slot auction on Kusama has been going on for about a week. Prior to that, the crowd loan opened up. So what this really means is that the community for all these different Parachain teams was contributing KSM to support the bid for whatever team they were backing for this auction. So the auction completed this morning, my time, at around 4:30 a.m. So that was
Ouch.
rough. The rest of our team mostly is in New Zealand and China. There's about four of us in the U.S. time zone, so some of us were up super early, but nothing better to wake up for. So the auction ended since we had the highest bid at every kind of point in time throughout the auction. We kind of we knew we were going to win because we didn't have any risk of a
Mhm.
time being chosen where we were down. So that was a little bit of peace of mind. But what that kind of enabled was the blockchain to actually go live. So we were hoping and praying that the chain would actually produce blocks, because we're one of the first teams to do this besides Parity themselves. So this is the first public chain to launch on Kusama. It did in fact begin producing blocks, so we've got a live network now as the first kind of public parachain on Kusama. So pretty big day.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I mean, I know that your voyage has just begun, though. Really, I mean, it feels like you got a certain milestone accomplished, but there's so much more to happen. I mean, you guys got over 500,000 Kusama in your crowd loan. That's
Yeah.
and when I say got, yeah, obviously this is just contributions that people will get back at the end of the lease period. But
hmm
to have that kind of level of support for your project must be overwhelming. Must be really satisfying to see happen. Maybe you can tell us, like, how are things going on the chain? It's been running, generating blocks. Tell us a little bit about what's next. What can we expect to happen next?
Yeah. Yeah, so going back to what you said, it has been pretty overwhelming. I think I'm looking right now, there's 758,000 KSM contributed total. So I think we had around two-thirds of all KSM contributed. So it went really well. And this, like you said, all of this is locked. It's still retained by anyone who contributed, and then they would get that back at the end of this 48-week slot. Um, but yeah, the next steps really involve just kicking off the network. So we've got a link that we've kind of created to this Notion page, which is kind of our home base for everything with the rollout plan. So this is very much step one. We'll begin then enabling different things through the governance process, getting our decentralized exchange up and running, the stable coin, and the initial version of the liquid staking for KSM. We're not going to be giving exact days or timelines for these things, because it's really just a matter of how quickly we can get it out. There's a lot of dependencies on our own tech. There's also dependencies on Kusama's tech. So things will just be moving as quickly as we can possibly get them out.
So with
So yeah,
things being so fluid, where can people go to find out, like, the latest news? To, like, are you guys primarily making your announcements through Twitter or Discord? Where can people
yeah.
go to find that out?
The best places would be Twitter and then our newsletter. If you go to the Karura Twitter, there's a link tree link there, and you can find all the relevant links to everything to follow, including the Notion roadmap that I just mentioned. So that's an important one to just bookmark, so you can keep tabs on where we are in the process, because we'll just kind of be checking things off as we go.
That's great. And so and for our listeners, we also have a really great video that Dan, you and I did, or you led mostly, around how the auctions actually work, and that'll
Mhm.
be for the ongoing auctions that are continuing, as well as a podcast that we did to discuss just Acala and Karura primarily, which really great content. So check that out if you're interested to learn more about the team and how that project's going to unfold over the next few months.
Yeah.
And
And one thing on
so,
that, that's still relevant too, like because this is just to mention, this is auction one out of an initial five on Kusama. So as we speak, immediately after Karura won this auction, Kusama's governance and council enabled auction number two. So now you've got, I think Moon River is in the lead now. You've got Plasm and several other teams that are competing now for the second slot. And this will continue to roll into the third auction, the fourth, and the fifth. And then I think there'll be a little bit of a pause to just stop and evaluate how everything's going after the first five.
yeah, I mean, I know that Karura is the first successful auction, but we have been getting a lot of really great feedback from people saying that this is one of the more novel and more seemingly fair ways to allocate blockchain resources to new teams,
Mm-hmm.
and for you guys to garner support for the project and get people excited about it. So I think it's a really new, it's a paradigm shift for this kind of capability. Um, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it grows in the future. Well, I mean, just to bring it back to Karura specifically, I mean, over the next few weeks and months, I mean, what do you? I mean, you talked a little bit about the liquid staking
Mm-hmm.
and the exchange. I mean, what do you think will be? I mean, if you had to pick one of those things, one of those capabilities out of that list, which one is like probably the one that you're most excited about, or maybe that you just like to highlight for our listeners?
Yeah. It's hard to choose one. I would say in the more near term, I'm like the thing that's going to launch the soonest that I'm excited about is the decentralized exchange. The Karura Dex will be where the KAR token will actually be listed in a decentralized manner with like the KSM pair. So that's just going to be kind of crazy and exciting to watch, listing your own network's governance token on your own DEX, which is just pretty cool. And then every network that will launch on Kusama, so Moon River, Plasm, will also continue to have their token launched, most likely on the Karura DEX as well. So that'll be fun to watch. What I'm most excited about is liquid staking. So liquid KSM staking and liquid DOT on Acala once that launches. This has a dependency that I mentioned on Kusama actually. So there's a little bit of work that needs to be done on the XCM, the cross-chain messaging between Kusama and Karura in order to enable the fully decentralized LKSM or the liquid KSM. So what we'll do in the meantime is launch like a kind of an intermediate or a canary version of liquid staking. So we'll still be able to offer this to people. It'll just be somewhat it'll be like semi permissionless versus fully decentralized in the future. So that's coming in the near term. Then of course the full kind of decentralized version of LKSM will be out as soon as possible.
Well, that sounds awesome. I think Karura supporters have a lot to look forward to over the next few months, and it will be really exciting to see how all of this unfolds. I mean, you guys have managed to find over $100 million in Kusama tokens to support the community. I know on Kraken we had over 900 different accounts contribute. You had close to 8,000, I think, on your own Karura portal, and
14.
oh wow. Okay, so even our numbers are out of date, and
Yeah.
that's just incredible for any project. I mean, it's right up there at the top. So this is really amazing. I just want to say congratulations on the win, and thanks a lot. I know you guys are really busy, and you took some time out of your day to talk with us. So I really appreciate it. Everybody, Dan Reecer from Karura and the first team to win a Polkadot or Polkadot, a Kusama Parachain auction slot, which
Yeah,
is
still
awesome.
Polkadot ecosystem. And
It's
yeah,
Polkadot ecosystem. Yeah.
thanks for having me. And you mentioned like the paradigm shift in this new model, and I actually just wanted to mention like seeing the response on Twitter. It's to me like I like sports. I'm competitive, and you can see like the sentiment in this. Everyone is kind of congratulating, and like we all are kind of like part of the team in this, which is really different than what we've seen in the past. Like if you contribute to an ICO, you don't feel like you're part of the team or part of the effort. But in this case, everyone's contributing and backing the team, kind of like you would do with a football match or a soccer team in the U.S. So it's been really interesting to watch the dynamic of how this new model actually has shaped the way that the community actually communicates and comes together as one.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I think a lot of times people say community here in air quotes, but
yeah,
it's just really a bunch of anonymous people aping into an investment or
yeah,
whatever. But in this case, yeah, it really does seem like there's a fairly large organic community supporters around you guys. So
yeah,
it's really great to see. And
cool.
we're glad to be able to support the ecosystem for sure at Kraken. So thank you so much for dropping in today and giving us an update on the project. And we hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you. Thanks for all the great work at Kraken.